Hi guys, in this video I want to show you a few ideas for layering and mounting your parchment work. My favorite one, to be honest, is using brads. However, there is other ways we can layer and mount our work. So let's go through a few of them. This is using brads. Then this one is using photo corners. This one is using strips of your backing paper to stick just in the corners, and that holds the work down pretty well. And actually, if you've got like the designer paper by Clarity, it looks really beautiful in the corners. And then this one is stitching. Don't know if, let me bring it closer to show you the stitching in the corners. So yeah, let's get to it. So let's start with breads. So these are the breads that I'm using. They're Pergamano breads, and you get them from Clarity Stamp. I'm just going to stick to the white ones for this demo. However, they do loads of colors in it. Let's get the pieces. So what I have is I've got a bit of mounting card and my parchment. So we're just going to basically pretend I finished all my work in the middle, all my parchment work. To be honest, I was being a little bit lazy, not doing anything in the middle, but that's okay. I know you guys understand and love me nonetheless. A bit noisy opening these. Maybe I should have opened them beforehand and kept them out. I'm going to put 4 out. I'm not going to use all 4 because I just want to show you that even by just putting 2, it holds the parchment pretty well. And you need a tool to poke holes with. And what I've got is, actually, if I move that out of the way, I have got the super foam from Clarity Stamp and the Pico foam. Let's move that. The Pico foam. This is the Pico foam. So I'm just going to, oopsie daisy. There we go. Let's get that back. So I'm going to use just the Pico foam because the holes, to be honest, don't need to be really big. And I'm going to poke a couple of holes. Now, excuse my sleeve that's going to get in the way every single time. For those of you who do know me, know I don't have a left hand. But for those who don't know me, well, I don't have a left hand. So 2 holes inside the corner. There we go. And I'm going to push the split pins, brads, through that, and push them through, turn it round, and open the pins. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move those. I'm going to move this, and on a harder surface it will be easier, and just split those open, push them down, split that one open, push it down, and there we go. And as you can see, that is enough to hold your parchment piece together. So you don't necessarily need 4 to hold your parchment down. In the sample itself, if I find it, this is called lack of organization skills, because I have no idea where I've put it. Oh, here we go. You can see I've used 4 there. Yeah. Okay, next one. So the next one is using the Clarity corner punch. Now Clarity, I think I'm pretty sure they have 4 corner punches. The one I'm using is, well, this one, and it's a really pretty one. So if I put just the corner there, you can see that. Now with the corner punches, one of the things is that the backing paper needs to be definitely slightly larger, but each one has a different width. Yes, width. Width on every side. And it's something you may need to play with to see what width you know. Now for this one, I know that my backing paper needs to be 0.4 millimeters bigger than the actual parchment piece. So we put the backing paper in, make sure it's nicely snugly in there in the corner, and oopsie daisy, punch. Yes. I'm going off screen. Oh, let's move. No, forget it. Let's bring white paper in to show you. There you go. Is that better? Oh, I forget where the middle is, where this is, where that is. And yes, you will find out I have a tendency to talk to myself too. Yes? Okay, let's do the other sides. So back there, snugly into the corners, and don't move, punch. So we're going to repeat that on all the sides. And one more. There we go. And we take our parchment piece, once again pretending I've finished all the work on the inside. And just going to slot those in. There we go. So like I said, this particular corner punch is 0.44 mm bigger than the actual parchment piece. Yes, so there's a baby version and there's a bigger version, and actually when you put them like that, they look really pretty. I'm off screen. There we go. There we go. Yeah, very pretty. Okay, next one is photo corners. Now, photo corners is probably the one I use the least. For no particular reasons. I mean, more often than not, it's usually because, well, I've forgotten where I've put them. So photo corners, you get them in loads of colors. I basically just have white and black ones. Yeah, only because I think I can get a bit carried away with shopping and things regarding photo corners. So yeah, just white and black for me. Photo corners. So what we need is, we are going to need our parchment piece. We need a backing sheet exactly the same size as the parchment piece, and your backing paper slightly larger. So let's get a photo corner. And shall I go with black or white? No, let's go with white. I quite like the white ones. First, I'm going to hold that down, and as a matter of fact, this I'm going to struggle a little bit with to show you, kind of not fumbling about too much. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to stick my layers down with a bit of tape. Now this is just what are they called? Not masking tape. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, never mind. It will come to me. Probably middle of the night or 3 a.m. in the morning. But it will come to me. There we go. So just some low-tack tape just to hold it down. For me, obviously you don't need to stick yours down if you don't, you know. But, and then we'll take a photo corner, and I'm going to slide it into the corner, making sure it's nice, snug, straight-ish along here and along there. And press down. Take another one. I'm going to turn my work slightly so it's a better angle for me. And once again, just before you press it down. Make sure it's straightish. And the same on all the sides. There we go. And one final one. Have I gone off the screen again? I don't know why I'm asking you, to be honest, because even if you're replying to me, I cannot hear you. And into there, and straightish, straightish. Okay, let's take these off. Yeah, and you can see now I can remove those actually, and I will show you what happens if you did not have the backing card. If I had no backing card and just slotted them in, you can see the backends of the photo corners, which really does not look pretty at all. This is why you need the backing paper exactly the same size, and slot both pieces through those photo corners, and this way we hide the back ends of the corners. Almost there, and there we go. Yes, so once again, when if you have various layers in your work, this looks really effective. Yeah, there we go. Not very straight, but let's just push it along. There we go. Yes, photo corners. Next option is this one here. And like I said, I love doing this one, especially when I've used designer papers for my backing, because when I put these strips on my parchment work, everything just goes really well together and it looks really, really pretty. I mean, your other option is as well, you could always use double-sided sticky tape, sprinkle glitter powder over it, rub it, and then fold your double-sided sticky tape at the back, and that will give you the glittery corners, which is very pretty. I mean, if I had my way personally, I would be, sprinkling the world with glitter powder. Good fun, I guess. Not that everyone would agree that glitter all over the floors and house and sofas and hair is good fun. Okay, so this one, we've got the backing card, once again slightly larger, then the parchment, and I am going to once again, just to help me keep everything together, use a bit of low-tack tape and stick that down. We'll just make it easier so nothing moves. There we go. Okay, so what I have here is I have 4 strips of whatever backing paper you're using. These are about 1 centimeter in width. You need to make sure that they are long enough to be able to go across diagonally, as well as fold and stick to the back. No particular size, just make sure it's long enough that you've got enough space for you to fold it round to the back and stick it down. So 4 pieces there. And what I've done is on the back I have stuck red liner tape, because that's very strong tape, and that's basically, if you haven't seen that, that's the red liner tape. Yeah, double-sided sticky tape would work as well. I would say please do not use a wet glue, because that will make your parchment buckle. Always use your double-sided sticky tape for this. Yes, or glue, the glue tape pens. Certain glue tape pens I've had have not been very strong, so just make sure that whichever tape pen, if you decide to use a tape pen, it is strong enough. And as you can see, it's stuck to my sleeve. All good fun, keeps me entertained, I guess. And we're going to stick it at a diagonal approximately. I'm not being super fussy about it. Yes, so there you go, at the diagonal, turn it round. Now this is too wide, so I'm going to take off some of the excess. I'm just going to chop that off. And chop that off. And we are just going to tight fold to the back. Tight fold to the back. And that is going to hold your parchment down. So same again on the other three sides. I keep going to the corner of the screen. To be honest, this is my first video ever. So it's going to be quite a learning curve, especially when I watch back and I think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Video proof, I did do that. And once again, round the corner, approximately there. Stick it down. Take off. Let me take this off. And trim off the excess because that is way too long. Oh, fumble, fumble. I don't even know if me making all this noise with the scissors and things, how amplified the sound is going to be. And stick that down. I don't want that going underneath. Tight fold and stick that down. I can take these off now that I've got two sides down. I don't really need the tape to hold my work for me. And once again, you know, if you think 2 is enough for you, you don't need to put in the other 2 corners. You can just leave it at 2. It's absolutely up to you because as you can see, that is holding the work in place. That's not going anywhere. But with this one, I do quite like it on all 4 sides. No, having said that, I think once I did do it on just 2 sides because the other 2 sides had a more intricate lace border, so I couldn't have put it. And I tried to look for all the samples with all these mounting and layering ideas. Could I find them? No, of course not. I've put them somewhere very safe so they don't get creased. That's the excuse I'm using anyway. Well, there you go. They're very safe somewhere. And fold back and fold back, and we turn it round, and the final side. Oh, I think one of the things I might need to learn is stop making silly sounds. Can you train yourself to stop making silly? Train yourself to stop making, stop making silly sounds. You probably can. I guess if I paid more attention to what's about to come out of my mouth, I might be able to. Nah, actually it needs too much thinking. I can't be doing that. I can only do one thing. You know how they say women are very good at multitasking. Nuh-uh, not me. I can only be doing one thing at a time, sort of thing. Paying attention, and there we go. Yes, and once again, if you layered and mounted that, you can see it gives you a really pretty effect. I mean, the other thing is that, you know, okay, the back looks pretty messy and horrible and everything else, but it really does not matter because you're going to stick this piece down onto your cardstock or, you know, onto another layered piece. Once again, when you do stick this piece on another piece, do not use wet glue. Always use your double-sided sticky tape or your glue tape pen glue tape glue. It doesn't matter. Okay, the final one, a much more involved one this one is, but this one is really nice and very, very professional looking, I have to say, and that is stitching. So there we go, you can see the stitching here. So what I've done on this one is I've stitched on the inside and the outside, basically to only show you that you can stitch on the inside or you can stitch on the outside. well, or you could stitch on both if you really wanted to. And I don't need to necessarily stitch all the way down. I have only done stitching in the corners, that's it. And that is enough to hold the work down. Once again, you only need to stitch, you know, in two corners if you wanted. You can stitch, you know, make holes all the way along here, either on the inside or outside, up to you, all the way along, and just stitch on one side, which means that if I had stitched, if we pretend I had stitched all the way along here, let me bring it back to the middle. I think I need a cross on my board to show me where the middle is. Sorry, distracted again. Stitching all the way along here, that would hold down, which means this would be open, which is really, that's really pretty. And also it allows your parchment to rest, and you know, over time parchment does warp, you know, with humidity and things like that. So it just leaves a space for the parchment to shrink and grow and all that kind of stuff that parchment seems to do. So for this one, what we are going to do is, let's move that. Once again, my backing card is slightly larger than the parchment, but we need to first make holes on the parchment. So I'm going to use the picot foam, and that may not be wide enough, so I may need to use the super foam too. Now if I put this straight on the super foam, you can see I can't see it, so this is why I'm using the picot foam on top too. So I'm going to make the holes with my 2 needle bolt tool from the front. And I'm not going to push the needle tools all the way down. I'm going to use my groovy guard to help me hold the parchment down while I make the holes. So, am I in the middle-ish? Do you know, at this point, I think glasses would really help me. Let me just put those on. Oopsie daisy, something went flying. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Life's good. Okay, holes. 2 needle tool, holding the tool upright, and should we do inside or outside? Let's do it on the inside. So first 2 holes, holding the tool upright, and you don't need to go all the way in, just widen, big enough the holes for you to be able to see. Go into the previous hole and make 1 more hole. This will give you even spacing. By going into the previous hole, it gives you even spacing. Yes? And then I'm going to turn that round. You know what I should have done? I should have actually stuck that down first with masking tape so it doesn't move when I turn it down. So now I've started this. I'm going to finish that and keeping it held down. This should be fun. Oh, how am I going to remove this without it moving the whole thing? Okay, let's try it this way. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't. Yeah, no. That's fine. So now I was right all the way along. This is silly me. Now I'm confused. Okay, so on the parchment, make your holes. Then take your card, layer the card on, and position it in the middle on there to hold the 2 pieces together. And to be honest, we could have gone through both layers at the same time, which is what I did on the original sample piece, and I didn't on this one. So now I'm doing each layer separately. So now that I've got these holes, they've become my template, and I'm going to once again just like go over those holes very gently, not all the way down, just wide enough. There we go. And if I turn that round, you will see on the back there is the holes. Yes, Now because my tape is coming off, I'm going to stick just some more tape so that it doesn't all fall apart while I'm stitching. And so I've done one corner there. I'm going to turn it around. I'm not going to do all the four corners, because basically the stitching is exactly the same all the way around. But if you wanted with this piece, if you were mounting it this way with stitching, you could have just, you know, made holes through both the layers. Make sure you stick it down with some low-tack tape. And once again, the first two holes into the corner and then into the previous hole, and you're making one more hole. So I made 5 holes in the previous corner. So 5 holes in this corner. And this is where the groovy card is very useful, because you can see I haven't used a groovy card, and as I'm pulling the needles out, my parchment and everything is lifting. Okay, so 2 corners. So this one was done individually. The parchment first, and then both layers, well, and then put over the backing card and reperforate those holes. This one was doing both layers together, making the holes on both layers together. Now stitching. So what I'm using is basically, I've got my needle here and I've threaded it already. I'm using a black thread, and what we need is, now we need some slightly stronger masking tape, because what the masking tape is going to basically do is it's going to hold our work, well, not our work, sorry, it's going to hold the thread down so it doesn't slip out. So pull it. You don't really need a very long piece of thread. The longer the thread you have, the more chances that they're going to get all tangled, or if you're using metallic threads, the metallic threads start fraying. So you don't really need very long. So we've come in, sorry, let me explain that. We've gone from the back through both layers. I've stuck it down the tail end with some masking tape and turn it around. So now we have the thread, as you can see, is on the front into the next hole. So now we're on the back along the next hole there, and then now this is back stitching. So for this one we go back to the previous one and on the back and back into the one next to it. This is because we want a continuous row of stitching along the way, and then into the next one. But once again, you can see there's a gap there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. Let me bring it closer. Maybe that might help. I don't know how far it is from the screen. If you can see, there's a gap here. So we need to fill that gap, and to fill that gap we need to go back to the previous one. So if I pull that, and you can see how that has filled that gap. So back on the back. That's quite funny. Yes, little things make me laugh. There we go. And the same all the way along. So forward one and then back there. So on this, oopsie daisy, on this one, what's happening is on the back we're always going forward with our stitching, But on the front, we're going front and back. Or are we going front? No, we're going backwards. So, oh, I've confused myself again. Let me show you on the other one. So you can see we finished this one. Yeah. Now we're ready to cut the thread. We're going to hold that and hold it pretty, you know, make it taut before sticking it down. Get some masking tape and stick that down. Cut your thread. And we're ready to go on the other side. Now, if I was to remove this on here, because it is actually stitching, even one corner, to be honest, is enough. It is not going to move. Oh, it does move. Oh, okay, the one I did before, because it had a bigger area I was stitching, it didn't move. So one corner would have been enough. So I think you're going to have to judge on the size of your stitching, how many stitches you're going to need if you were doing it freehand. However, if you already have got lace work on your work, perforations there, you can use those perforations to do the stitching on. Not after you've cut, they would have to be before, you know, if you're doing picot cutting, leave a few perforations without the picot cutting, so you can use those holes to do your stitching through. But this is just freehand completely, you know, instead of using the brads or the corner punch or anything. And to be honest, I think stitching looks really pretty. So let's get this going. So on the back, now because it did move, I'm going to have to just reslot those holes. I'm going to use a bit of tape to just hold it in place for me. Nope, I moved it again. There we go. All right, let's go. So on the back again and through that. Pull it through, making sure you've taped it down so it doesn't all start coming apart. Some masking tape, and there we go. So front, one forward on the front, and on the back we are always going forwards. Back on the, now we're back on the front. This time we are going back one. There we go. See the gap there? So we need to go back one. But on the back, we are still going forward. We're going this way around, so we're going forward one. This time round on the front, we're going forward one. And on the back, we are still always going forward. This time we're going one back, but forward on the front. Sorry, forward on the back. This time round, forward on the front two, forward on the back, but back on the front. So hopefully this is making sense. I really hope it's making sense. Actually, maybe I should have done it the other way, done the samples, done the stitching first. That way, if I was not that way, if I went wrong in explaining things, I could have deleted the video and restarted the taping. But sorry, there's no way I'm going to restart the taping of this again. It's taken me a lot of courage actually to put this video together. Oh my gosh, I am petrified of doing this. And I'm hoping that, sorry, all the noise is me trying to get masking tape off. There we go. And I'm hoping with time I'll be less petrified and I'll make more sense. I'll be clearer, definitely a bit more organized. But then I think I've been hoping to be organized for, well, most of my life. Still hasn't happened. And yes, stuck the end down with masking tape again. Just press it down a little bit, making sure it's not coming off. And you can see the two sides, they're stitched. Yes. And if I find, I mean, on this one, for example, I used gold thread, gold metallic thread, which is really, really pretty. And Clarity Stamp have a lot of threads and needles. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm hoping to do the stitching workshop as well soon. And, well, if you become hooked to stitching on parchment, you can never have enough threads. So once again, the layering mounting techniques work really well. So that is all of them, all the different ways of mounting. So let's go backwards. Stitching. Corners using the same backing paper. Photo corners. Paper punch from Clarity Stamp. And the brads one, which again has disappeared. Here you go. And the brads. Yes, 5 ideas of mounting your work. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm really sorry if you know, everything got a bit confusing when I was trying to explain things, and in my head I knew what I was saying, but my words didn't make sense at all. So sorry about that. Hopefully the demo showed, you know, rather than words, exactly what I was doing. If you have any suggestion, please feel free to give them to me, because that would really help, as this is new to me. Yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the video. Take care. Love you loads. Bye.